Okay, additional thoughts on this Chris Duffy assault business. When you hear care worker for the elderly, hear potential assailant. When you hear political operative for a female candidate, think potential assailant. I think what comportment is a huge part of impressions, and the fact that he's like ultra square, like very bourgeois, very nerdy. If he has any hipster coolness, it's like on the down low. And his bourgeois exterior becomes his easy way in. Plus, he's got better than average manners, like a con artist. And be wary of that. I think in certain ways, I'm almost a year older, 9 months older. Defensively, I didn't have a gun in his face. I didn't mace him. I was defensive, and when I track back what were my actions to deal with the emerging situation, a part of me just wants to know. Like, I've had guys who hit on me and I rebuff them and our friendship maintains. But he was a different kind of like glommed on predator. And this happened in my low income housing. That bugs me because somebody who works for aging and disability should not be predating on women or assaulting women in a low income housing situation. So to me, there's like an ethical breach that goes on. Also, I was very open about, I live on Social Security, as in I'm broke poor, and I don't participate in the economy. I just receive benefits and have depression. And at that point, he shouldn't think, oh, depressed broke chick, how about I? That's predatory and that's disrespectful. I completely expected more of him, and I go back over it in my mind and I try to think, how should it have been? And the moment, he had met the guy that I date over and over and over again in social situations where we were very much a team. And I felt like, I can have click with one guy intellectually, and here's the guy I date. And I think his predatory kind of beeline behavior, my mate saw like right off, okay, he's creepy, he's a schmuck. He's older than me too, he's wiser than me. Is the friendship redeemable? Maybe possibly after you get in mega trouble and you pay, and you pay up for what you've done. And I'm thinking like pay with your job, pay with your little other fake job, pay restitution, do some charity work, go prove that you've educated yourself. Yeah, a sorry is a start, but it's not everything. I think and I've gone over it in my mind, and the friendship isn't possible because I would never truly feel safe. If I need a bodyguard to stand by to prevent you from assaulting me, what kind of friendship is that? That's not a friendship. One of the ways I wrote this really long email to one of his bosses at the radio after we talked, really nice guy, Graham Nygaard, I think. And I was like, I realized that part of why this is such a shock to the system is this is somebody who, in your wildest dreams, you would not think this possible of them, because they comport themselves in such a decent and respectable manner, like a Catholic priest, famous example. And I realized that's where my heartbreak really lies, is that this is someone who I wanted to trust, who I wanted to respect, who I wanted to have conversations with. I wanted to feel respect from. And the fact that I didn't feel respected, and he finally was forced by his boss to write me after months of blowing me off and months of me ruminating. I immediately, like 2 days afterwards, when I was meeting with Brenda to discuss and realizing, oh my God, I can't even tell her how bad it was because she's so devastated by him already. I just really can't overburden her. I was thinking, like, okay, I know what I bring to do. He's the one that gave me this information. It was information that he gave me about his character. And I know what to do. So in my life, in moving and then moving again, dealing with all this hectic stuff, I kept thinking, is it the time? Is it the time? Who can I trust? And I was also gaining a lay of the land and trying to understand who and what is the best strategy to proceed. And I realized until I'm completely secure, I can't deal with this because too many things are insecure. And having to move constantly, having to move frequently, hasn't really been that fun. And I'd often think, well, I guess this could cost him his job. And then I think, oh, but he's doing good things for the people, or that's a good thing. So when I went to his work kind of to survey the situation, see what it was. Why did he ask me to work there? What was, what was it? Assault proof? Like, were there lots of hidden places where he could be assaulted? Possibly. And also the fact that he is his own little boss was like, oh, okay, who do I report you to? You are the boss, right? I saw him at the end of December and wrote him requesting the apology that I had requested at the end of October. And he's still not forthcoming with that. By mid-January, I write Brenda, and I'm like, I know she can be in touch with Kim. She knows Kim. So I'm just like, I'm really worried about Kim. She might be a victim of his violence. I have seen his violence in action, and I'm scared for her. I am scared for her children. I don't know how tolerant she is, what she puts up from. I have no idea, or what her thing is with him. Like, say he's not abusive to her, and that his little random violence on me was just recreational, extracurricular. Oh my God, I would want to know. And I don't know how old her teenage kids are, but I'm like, oh my God, I would not let my children be around him if I were a mother. There was one time that he grabbed my wrist in a way that I found alarming in retrospect. I found it uncomfortable, but also just kind of strange. Like, I don't like being touched. It's something about me, you've got to know. I don't like being touched by anyone, especially not a groper or a con artist. It's a pity Brenda had to go so mean to me. She like tried to frame me as the seductress. The moment of the pin down, when I could tell his erection was being pressed on me, I remember thinking, oh my God, if he rapes me, will he use a condom? And the fact that he put me through that amount of sheer terror, and used his coast radio gig and his I'm this nice guy that cares for the elderly routine to get his little way into my little world. Ugh. Creepy predators in elder care. What a subject. So in a way, it is a test case to see how Clatsop County's bureaucracy machine. So after I basically send everybody on the board and everybody on the radio board and on the board of the recreation district the next email, because I've already sent like a big email to his main boss. Then I've sent his main boss at the radio and the whole board, because I don't trust that his main boss isn't, just siloing it up. Because I'm like, guys protect guys, right? Then, who are all these board figures? Are they going to care? Are they going to see it? Does anybody know how to check email? And I get like no response for 4 days. We get one response. That's from Astoria Police Department. But I get no response from anyone else. So I call the radio. I'm just like, so, you want to send me your sexual harassment policy? And they were in the middle of a pledge drive. So a woman answers, and I'm all like, hi, to whom do I make a complaint of sexual harassment? I was recruited to be on a radio show by a guy who immediately, pretty quickly started groping me, kind of like, right? It happened I met him in May. This all happened by June. Barely knew him. Second time I met him, I was with my guy. One time, just to kind of freak him out after he'd done it, when I'm already kind of trying to punk him and lose him, I'm all like, so, is Kim bi? Kind of meaning like, yeah, I could steal your girlfriend, because I'd be way more into any girl than I'm into you, basically. Which certain guys like to assault lesbians or like bisexual women, like certain men have an anger against women that aren't attracted to them. And there's not that many guys I'm actually into. So how do I get it? I finally realized I'm gonna probably just go to his work and chew him out and call him a pervert and a creep and a groper and a sexual harasser. So I might as well just let his whole boss know, let all his figureheads know, let the radio people know, let Brenda know, she'll let Kim know. Then we can all be on the same page. Because his whole playing dumb routine, he was like, oh, I'm hearing from my professional contacts and my personal contacts that you think something violent happened. I suggested, or it might be misogyny, that you don't see any reason for me to have any bodily autonomy. Who knows, though? Maybe he tried to, basically I wrote him an email back, then he wrote me again, the apology, then I wrote him another email back, then he said, call me again. And I'm like, I don't think that'll be necessary. Where should I call him? And if I call him, what am I going to get? Am am I going to get something to my mind intellectually satisfying enough as to understanding why were you assaultive to me, why were you scaring me, and why were you groping me continually when I was indicating not to? I think if he had some alibi, some explanation, some excuse, it might give me a little more to chew on. So that denial of an explanation, he, in his apology, was clever enough to not exactly admit what he did, but admit that he was something like, I understand that we were only supposed to be talking, and not, and basically in parentheses, and not me groping and assaulting you. So I saw him today and I almost wanted to puke. I lost my appetite. I almost lost my ability to stand up. If he saw me kind of falling out and turning around, and then just standing there really haggard, like. I think the funny thing about male assault of women is that they tend to think it's not that big a deal. They don't realize that you restrict your movements so you avoid running into them. Like, you move to a new city so you don't live in the same city. Like, women do so much to get away from, like, Welcome to Hell from Saturday Night Live. It's like Welcome to Hell. My gal pal Brenda blaming me. I mean, she came out to me about her childhood sexual abuse, and I realized she hasn't processed that, and that she tends to almost side with a rapist. Like, we just happened to meet this what's his name? Michael Mitchell or some Michelle Thomas Mitchell, something like this. This rapist, child rapist of Astoria was at this hipster party the night that this all happened. And even part of why Chris and I wound up together is because I was so discombobulated for, Brenda, why are you kissing that pedophile's ass? And what the hell are all those Astoria hipsters acting like it's just chill to be hanging with him? And Chris was like, oh my god, I shook his hand. And so I felt like we had a moral point of clarity where Chris is like, I'll walk Mary home, and it's just kind of like, oh god, Brenda, you have no taste. And she's like, I believe him. You believe the pedophile child rapist? So the whole night was like poisonous, basically. In the sign of Cancer, right after the weird full moon of June, like a couple of weeks, and June 2017, a year after Ben had almost killed me, then I'm having some other guy pin me down. Just like, I look like I want to be assaulted. There's a cool girl who used to work at, she may still work at Sweet Pea Bakery. She had like burns and spider webs. That's like when you want all those tattoos. You're just like, what, dude? You really want to crawl on me like a bug? You want to pester me? Like, badger me? So the first time I went into his work in September, I was going to give him this letter that I was handwriting. Then I was like, no, I'll just go in person. Be like, check case the joint. And then the next time I went, it was because everything was disastrous in my personal life. And I remember needing the friendship which he had already sabotaged between him and his coworker, who I guess is a friend now. And I needed to know I had a friend in this new city. And I had wrestled with it because I was like, how can I be friends with someone who's assaulted me? How can I? And I realized I was taking pains to sort of step over my disgust and continue to keep a line open. That itself is scary, and I realized I was actually deceiving myself to mitigate the trauma. So once I finally stopped deceiving myself and really kind of slipped back into character of who I really am, is not going to let him get away with this. That's when I realized I was experiencing a good measure of Stockholm Syndrome, where I thought I could patch it up. I even hoped at a certain point I figured, well, we can talk it out. Like, we can eventually get to this point where we can talk and see, like, what was up with that. And even a part of me knows that women are trained to excuse male violence. Uma Thurman said this in her car crash thing about, what's his name? Quentin Tarantino or whatever, that women excuse male violence because they are trained to think, oh, well, it was motivated out of love. Therefore, this sort of crime of passion, antiquated theory. And I realized if he was going to admit, oh, but I was just deranged with passion for you, maybe somehow I'm supposed to forgive it. And it was plainly non-consensual. It was plainly intimidating. It put me in fear and terror of rape. It was uncomfortable. It was painful. I could not escape. And I see a before and after, an extreme bifurcation. It was a very short friendship in which I barely knew him, and we seemed to have a growing rapport. There's the moment of the assault, and everything thereafter has been an aftermath of me seeking closure, seeking an explanation, seeking an apology, seeking safety. And furthermore, the larger picture is the knowledge that society on the whole is safe from him, and that he is not a danger to others and no one else is being hurt. And that's like the big picture, is he showed me a window of his violence. I remember also thinking, I can't kick him because I'm pinned, both my legs are pinned. I can't kick my way out of this. Which just ended up happening to be quite similar to I've been relatively impressed by his boss dudes, Graham and Skylar. Yeah, relatively impressed that they would sit there and listen to me. It's kind of a pity that they're having to do the emotional work for him while he gets to be a scoundrel and get away with it. I wonder how much they're growing.